For decades, Team USA has been untouchable. The gold standard of basketball dominance. Dream team, redeem team, superstars stacked from top to bottom. They didn't just win, they defined the game. But lately the cracks are showing. At the 2023 FIBA World Cup, Team USA didn't even medal. In Paris 2024, they barely scraped by in games they used to win by 30. And now, with the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics on the horizon, one thing has become uncomfortably clear. The rest of the world isn't afraid of America anymore. Teams like Germany, Canada, France, and Australia aren't underdogs, they're equals. Their systems are sharper, their players more disciplined, and their chemistry tighter. Meanwhile, Team USA's biggest weakness isn't talent, it's complacency. Because if nothing changes, 2028 might be the year the unthinkable happens. The year America loses basketball on its own soil. There was a time when wearing USA across your chest meant something unshakable. From the 1992 Dream Team to the 2008 Redeem Team, the rest of the world didn't just fear Team USA, they worshipped them. That era was defined by dominance. Jordan, Magic, Bird, then Kobe, LeBron, Wade. Games weren't about whether the US would win. It was about by how much. Even when other countries played their hearts out, America's raw talent always overwhelmed them. But that aura didn't last forever. By the mid-2010s, the rest of the world caught up. Not in star power, but in system and structure. While the US relied on individual brilliance, other nations were learning how to beat them with discipline and teamwork. Spain, France, Serbia, Australia, they started closing the gap. Then came Tokyo 2021 and later the 2023 FIBA World Cup, where the unthinkable happened. Team USA, filled with NBA talent, couldn't even reach the podium. The world had evolved, while America stayed the same. And that invincibility, that psychological edge vanished. Players from other countries no longer entered games hoping to survive. They entered them expecting to win. So now, heading toward Los Angeles 2028, the question isn't, can the US dominate again? It's, can they even keep up? Because this isn't just about international growth. It's about how the US system itself is breaking from within. If you want to know why Team USA keeps slipping, you have to look at how America builds its players. Because the system that once created legends is now producing highlight machines. From AAU to prep schools to one-and-done college stops. The US basketball pipeline is built around exposure, not education. Young players grow up chasing mixtapes, rankings, and clout instead of mastering the game's fundamentals. By the time they reach the NBA, many of them have never learned how to defend as a unit, move without the ball, or read the floor beyond isolation plays. Meanwhile, international programs have gone the opposite direction. In places like Spain, France, and Australia, players are trained inside national academies that teach system basketball from age 12. They learn spacing, timing, and team concepts first, handles and heroics later. That's why when you watch a country like Germany or Lithuania play, every possession looks like choreography, and Team USA's looks like improvisation. It's not about talent, it's about habits. US players grow up playing to impress, not to integrate. So when they join a national team where everyone's used to being the star, chemistry collapses. That's why the US often struggles against teams with less athleticism but more rhythm, because basketball IQ and cohesion beat raw power every time. Even NBA coaches have started admitting it. The world didn't just copy the American game, they improved it. They took US athleticism, added structure, and built something more efficient. And now the machine that once built the best in the world is falling behind its own creation. But the cracks don't stop at development, because even when the US has all the talent in the world, it still can't get them on the court. And that's where the Olympic problem really begins. It's no secret, Team USA has a participation problem. Every Olympic cycle, the conversation isn't about who's playing, it's about who's sitting out. Back in the 90s and early 2000s, putting on the red, white, and blue was an honor. Now it's a scheduling inconvenience. The NBA season is longer, the playoffs more grueling, and load management has become a religion. So when summer comes around, most superstars, guys like Kawhi or Embiid, choose recovery over country. That leaves Team USA scrambling. They assemble rosters full of rising stars and role players. Good talent, but not the kind that can automatically dominate the world's best. And when other nations are sending their A teams packed with continuity and chemistry, the US is sending a pickup squad, trying to figure it out on the fly. It's not just fatigue, it's apathy. Representing Team USA doesn't carry the same pride it once did. In Europe, players like Luka Doncic or Giannis Antetokounmpo treat international play like a sacred duty. In America, it's an optional commitment sandwiched between endorsement deals and off-season workouts. The result? By the time the Olympics or FIBA World Cup rolls around, the US isn't playing the world's best. They're sending the available. And in today's global game, that's not enough. Even legends like LeBron and Durant can only hold back the tide for so long. Once they retire, who steps up? Because the next generation, the Ja Morant, Anthony Edwards, LaMelo Ball, might have the flash, but do they have the patience to represent their country every summer? And that's what makes 2028 so dangerous, because by then the rest of the world won't just be catching up, they'll be ready to overtake. For years, Team USA's dominance wasn't just about skill, it was about distance. They were miles ahead of everyone else, but that distance has disappeared. Look around the world today. The best players in the NBA aren't American anymore. Jokic from Serbia, Giannis from Greece, Luka from Slovenia, and SGA from Canada. 4 of the last 5 MVPs, foreign-born. The shift isn't coming, it's already here. These players didn't just bring skill, they brought systems. They grew up in environments that taught team play, patience, and precision. They know how to win in 40-minute FIBA basketball, where spacing, discipline, and timing matter more than isolation plays. Meanwhile, those same countries have built entire national programs around them. Germany's 2023 World Cup win wasn't a fluke. It was the result of 10 years of continuity. Brothers Franz and Mo Wagner, Dennis Schroeder, Daniel Theis, playing together year after year. Canada, too, has gone from fringe to powerhouse, with NBA talent on every position and a coach who actually treats FIBA like a chessboard, not a dunk contest. Even France, with Victor Wembanyama leading the next era, could field one of the most dangerous rosters in basketball history by 2028. Team USA, on the other hand, keeps rebuilding from scratch every cycle. No continuity, no identity, no rhythm. And that's deadly in international play, where chemistry often beats raw power. The world used to admire America's dominance. Now they've learned from it, and they're using those lessons to beat the teacher. But the real threat to Team USA's future might not even come from abroad. It's coming from within, from the very culture that made the US the basketball capital of the world. The biggest threat to Team USA isn't Germany or France or Canada. It's America itself and what basketball has become within it. The US used to treat basketball as an art form, something you studied, respected, and shared. Today, it's a content machine. A culture driven by highlights, rankings, and personality over principles. From AAU to social media, players are raised to stand out, not to fit in. Every kid wants to be the next viral star, not the next great teammate. Every move is about attention, not application. And when the generation steps onto the Olympic court, they're not used to sacrificing for the greater good, because that's never been rewarded. Just look at the players America's system now produces. Ja Morant, Zion Williamson, LaMelo Ball. They are walking highlight reels. They sell tickets, break the internet, and fill arenas with excitement. But when it comes to winning basketball, to structure, discipline, and longevity, the same traits that define global success, these players often struggle to translate their flash into championships. They are products of a system that values wow over win. Contrast that with international players who grow up running systems, accepting roles, and valuing efficiency. They've built their basketball identities around humility, precision, and patience. Team USA, meanwhile, celebrates individuality, even when it hurts the collective. That's why when things get tough, international teams pull together and Team USA falls apart. It's not a talent issue, it's a values issue. America's basketball culture still produces the flashiest players on earth, but not always the smartest or the most prepared for the FIBA style of play. And unless that changes, the 2028 Olympics could expose more than just a competitive weakness. It could expose a cultural one. Because by 2028, it won't be just about basketball. It'll be about pride, ego, and whether America can still call itself the home of the game it invented. Now imagine it's the summer of 2028, Los Angeles, the birthplace of modern basketball culture. Team USA loaded with talent, playing on home soil in front of the world. And then, they lose. Not in a fluke game, not because of injuries, but because the rest of the world simply plays better basketball. Can you imagine the headlines? The United States, the country that invented the game, defeated on its own court. The fallout would be massive. The American media would call it a national embarrassment. Debates would erupt overnight about AAU, about the NBA's influence, about how the US turned team sport into a solo act. The world would celebrate it as a symbolic passing of the torch, proof that basketball no longer belongs to one country. And for the first time ever, Team USA would have to face a question it's avoided for decades. What happens when talent is no longer enough? And maybe that loss, if it happens, would be exactly what America needs, because sometimes the only way to fix a broken system is for it to finally fail. The loss wouldn't mean the end of US basketball. Far from it. It would mark a new beginning, a forced reckoning with the culture, development, and values that shaped the game. A moment where America has to rediscover why it fell in love with basketball in the first place. Because maybe, just maybe, losing in 2028 isn't the end of dominance. It's the start of evolution.